Hey, first one of 2023 Kickstarter crowdfunding roundup. What do we got going on this week? What do you need to know? Best, most succinct summary on the interwebs on a weekly basis. Episode number 334. I made that number up. Let's do this. As always at the beginning, full disclaimer, I try and cover as many games as possible, but I'm also going to keep it, relevant for you guys. So ones that are funding, ones that are on their way to funding, ones that are of significant relevance, and things that just amuse me as well will always be in there. So without further ado, let's go to the one that I didn't know was going on, but other people did. So let's talk about it. The Dice Tower 2023, almost funded, $240,000. They're almost at $200,000. I always have mixed feelings about these crowdfunding campaigns. Completely understand them. At the same time, I absolutely hate the way most of them are put together. I do. The promos are divided and into $60 packs, I think $60 or $70 packs this year. And you basically can't ever get the ones you want. So what ends up happening is all the time on the secondary market, I think one of the other ones, big ones, just fulfilled in the last month or so. And so I've seen a bunch of it pop up on Facebook and other websites of people just trying to sell these promos in bulk because they buy the full thing to get a half a dozen promos. And then they try to recoup the rest of their money. And sometimes they do. And frankly speaking, it seems like a lot of the time, maybe they really don't. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe they're breaking even and they just end up with a whole bunch of promos that don't go anywhere. But I just have mixed feelings about the FOMO promo campaigns like this. I just do. Because that's what they are. Promos are the most unessential elements of our hobby, I will make the argument for. Maybe secondary to deluxeifications. But yet we obsess about them either way. So take it for what you will. I wish that it was less of that and more of just a pick what you want. Here's the cost. We'll bundle them. The more you get, the more you save ish, right? Like one of those. But then you can't FOMO people. And I understand it. It's a marketing thing. But I just kind of wish there was a different way of doing that. They've got videos explaining the stretch goals and the pledge levels, which is sure. Okay. And then they run you through all of the 4 or 5 different packs that they have here. And, if you're anything like me, there's about 2 or 3 in every single one that you're like, oh, that'd be nice. And then there's the rest of them that you're not really interested in. And that's pretty much it. There's a bunch of pledge levels down here for a couple $100 each if you want to play board games as a video game online with some member of the Dice Tower. So you can pay for $200 worth of that as well. But most of those are sold out at this time. And the average pledge level is about $70 because of that. But each individual promo pack is $60. So take it for what you will. I cover it. It's relevant. I know a lot of people are going to be saying, okay, I do this to support them. Not worried about the promos. Again, nothing wrong with it. Great aspect of things. But just like any other crowdfunding campaign, I think it's also okay to criticize just because, they're the biggest guys out there doesn't mean they're immune to criticism. And when it comes to this. So I just wish that the promos were done differently. Me personally speaking. I'm probably in the minority. You guys will tell me how wrong I am in the comment section. Anyway, there you go. Games itself this week. I said this was going to be the sleeper hit on my games to watch for January. This is Among Cultists. It's over $100,000 already in 2 days. It's a social deduction Among Us inspired board game, with an actual board element of moving around the board, trying to fulfill different objectives, trying to win as either the cultist or cultists versus the investigators. And this plays anywhere from about 4 to 8 people. And so if you're playing at the 4 through 6 player count, there's 1 cultist. If you're playing at the 7 or 8, there's 2 cultists. So very similar to Shadows of Camelot in terms of the numbers there. There's no player elimination, which is also the great thing because you can just be alive or dead. And if you're dead, you go around as a ghost, which gives you different actions and interactions than if you were alive. But you don't always know if you've been murdered or not by the cultist. The end game scoring condition is you need 10 points as the investigators, or you need to have gotten rid of the cultist and know that you got rid of the cultist, or the cultist wins if they've killed 3 or 4, depending on the number of players total. Investigators. There's also a player known as the seer who knows who the cultists potentially are, and if the cultists can pick out the seer, then they can win also. That's the gist of it as a whole. The big other thing that sets it apart as a board game is you have encounters that you're going to be going around through. And like I said, you're going to be traveling from room to room with 3 movement points per turn. And there's going to be sort of interactions or numbers of people you need to have in a room, say, to do it. There's going to be a power source in terms of, like, you can turn the lights off and then the cultists can kill people because they can't kill someone if there's a witness. And so you don't really know who's who, and you can't necessarily know who you're in a room with. So that's the dynamic that you're having. There's going to be room specific actions as well as just other things that you're going to be dealing with along the way, including voting. Now, the other interesting aspect is they come out with 2 expansions already from the get-go. The Mountains of Chaos here, and then the Down into the Abyss expansion. New roles here, new obstacle boards, new markers, a free add-on if you want your own party that you can put into the game. You can basically slot in your own like photos in there if you really want to. And this one, I don't even know what this one adds. What is it? The Mountains of Chaos here. New game board. It looks like double-sided. That would be really nice. Double-sided game board and just more markers for a revolving wall and elevators. 5 new professions. So I love the idea of this. I would love to play this. This takes the place of something like Secret Voldemort. I have the reskin of Secret Hitler because obvious reasons. And it's sort of a mix or next level up from like Murder in Hong Kong, Deduction, or Deduction, Murder in Hong Kong, right? I'm screwing that name up all over the place too. I'm sick this week. But that's the vibe it gives me. But if you want all of that, it's going to cost you $100. That's the issue. Can you pay $100 for a game that's not like Blood in the Clock Tower, 50 pages long and can play with 20 people? This is easier to play. This is easier to get to the table. I think it's more intuitive. It's not going to be Blood in the Clock Tower, but it's also not going to be one of those other games. There's a lot of setup. There's a lot of balancing that they do at the different player counts that you're going to take into account for. And, for a social deduction game, it's about a 35-page rulebook, which isn't insignificant either. That's a whole nother side tangent there. But you can see some of the stretch goals here. Mostly deluxeifications, bigger upgrades for a small indie company. So I give them a lot of kudos. This thing's killing it from Good to Go Games. And there you go. Check it out. Garfield Games has put out the second expansion for Circadians First Light, the Specialists expansion, but they also have Chaos Order and the Harbingers expansion going to be available in this. As with all Garfield games, there is no pledge manager. So if you're interested in this, you need to get in on it now. What do you need to know? Well, both expansions, as well as everything else, basically is coming to retail. But as with all Garfield games, they do, like they said here, 20% off MSRP. So 20% off is kind of a wash sometimes. Like with Wayfarers of the South Tigris, if you didn't want like a little bit of the upgrade or the metal coins, getting it at retail is actually probably going to be cheaper without having to pay for extra shipping. Choose how you want to support. And they say that at the top of every other campaign. So I give them a lot of kudos always from that aspect. You've got an 18 or 16 page rulebook here of the Specialist expansion, which are adding different specialists and different leaders that are going to be compatible with the base game. They're also offering an upgrade kit. If you're the first edition for this game, you can get this, but that's not going to be available at retail. So if you want that, you have to get it here. It says right there. This is a worker placement game. This is more of a Euro game, a set collection, a little bit of area control, I think, too. There's plenty of information out there. This is not my forte. This is not my strength, if you will. But they're getting a mini expansion with the extra leader cards, tactic cards, and production cards that you can get here as well. So if you want to get one, you want to get them all, you can pick and choose here based on the upgrades, the expansions, or whatever else you want if you're trying to get all in. So shipping is going to be what it's going to be, and that's the whole page right there as a nutshell. So that is Circadian First Light with the new expansions. Now, we are going to the roll and write, which is going to be done by the time you guys see this video, but I wanted to talk about it because I didn't do a roundup for the last 2 weeks or so because crowdfunding had been relatively light, and everybody needs a holiday, myself included. And so this is Find the Source. This is basically a roll and write version of The Matrix, if you will. And I didn't even get down to the video section, but one of them actually basically alludes to that. And it's got 9 maps that you're going to be doing, and it's kind of an interesting take on the roll and write because they're giving you 9 boards, but they're actually giving you the option to get it printed as well for like $39. So if you don't want to get the print and play copy for $5, you can pay more and get that, which is a little bit plus or minus. They're doing something weird there. 2 things weird. I'll touch on in a second, one of them. But the first one is that they're offering you like a full colored version as well as like a low ink version. Like if you're giving me a printed version, why do I want the low ink version? Anyway, that just doesn't, doesn't work in my brain for some reason, and maybe that's because I'm just under the weather. But you basically choose between 2 dice on every single turn. You take the high die, you get more actions based on the die number. You can do more actions on your turn to accomplish all of the things that you need to accomplish. But if you take the low die, you get less actions, but you get an upgrade that's going to be more useful going on. Now, why would you never not take the high upgrade? Well, because you have this little track here that you can see right here that if it fills up, you lose, right? So that's how you do it. There's solo, there's cooperative, and there's a campaign version. A campaign version being where you play 3 of these in a row. Variations. The other advantage of getting the printed version is they allow you basically kind of, I think there's gonna be like tops and bottoms of the map, and they split them so you can like mismatch them and get more combinations of maps if you get the printed version a little bit easier. So this is the print and play, like, because I like this for the print and play, the full color and the low ink, great. But if you're gonna get a printed version, that's where I'm kind of, doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, anyway, take it for what it is. This is the other part that doesn't make sense to me. Shipping costs. They're shipping from Europe, it seems like, and it makes sense, VAT friendly. But if I'm in the US right here, I'm gonna pay VAT? Like what? It's gonna cost $40 plus VAT? It's gonna cost you $40 to ship it from Europe, and you're gonna make me pay the VAT on top of that? That I feel like that's a mistake, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know how that works. You guys can tell me in the comment section. I'm pretty sure I'm just misinterpreting it. But maybe that's the case. I thought it was just within Europe. I'm pretty sure when I buy board games from like Philibert over in like France, they actually reduce the VAT from the cost once they find out like I'm shipping to the US. Now, granted, shipping is still expensive. I don't necessarily disagree with some of this, but I just don't know about that. So anyway, that's it. That's all you need to know. Animus Magnus Games, their first one, killing it with a roll and write for $23,000. It's impressive. Now we're going to go back over here for Monolith. Monolith, of all people, is putting out OrcQuest WarPath Resurrection. And this is literally being resurrected, and they're on their way to their $200,000 funding goal because there was a previous version of this that funded and ran out of money. And so what they've said, and no matter how you feel about this game, they said if they're funding, they're also going to supply copies for all the people that didn't get their game the first time around. And so anytime I see that, I don't care who it is, I don't care what it is, that's a positive thing for our industry. So take that for what you will in this, I believe 1 to 4 cooperative based orc as your hero game against humans. And it's miniature laden, as you can see right there. And they've said because of how they're doing it, they're not like stratifying the tiers, and because of what people got in the first campaign, they've actually streamlined all the pledges here to only be this $145 US pledge level. You get all the stretch goals, you get all the expansions, you get all the unlocks from this campaign as well. It's all there. 1 to 6 players, actually, not 1 to 4, 90 minutes. And this is a dungeon crawl, which seems relatively simplistic based on what you see on the page, but then you pull up the rulebook and it's like a 52-page rulebook for a dungeon crawler, which again is a whole nother side tangent video of why are we getting every single game that needs to have a 30 to 50-page rulebook? Are games getting too complex? Anyway, I'll do a whole nother video on that. They tell you everything that's in here. We'll skip over all this. Look, plastic, junk, game. Okay, here's the game. And so what you're getting is you're getting loot, you're getting upgrades, you're getting combat. You're basically opening doors and seeing what happens. You have movement, combat, and stealth cards or abilities that you're going to be using on a turn-by-turn basis that you're going to be upgradable when you defeat enemies based on dice rolls. And dice rolls are color-coded, and you roll attack dice, you roll defense dice. More attacks than more defense. Boom, that's combat. In a nutshell, of course. There's going to be reactions, there's going to be interrupts, there's going to be things like that you can utilize along the way. And then you also have loot that's going to be happening every time. Every time you kill somebody or knock out an enemy, you're going to be getting loot, and it's going to be slowly building up and crafting your weapons and making you stronger as you go. There is a progression system. Badass, I will say, is the god's name. This is a family-friendly channel, folks. Badass is going to allow you to activate special attacks and additional actions and upgrading your skills based on how well you can get those points, as well as reviving your fellow colleagues. So that's everything on there. That's everything you need to know. They've done a great job in terms of putting the product back out there. I have no doubts that this is going to fund again. So it's just a matter of when. If you want to see what's going on down here, they have some unboxing, it appears like. So... yeah, I'm not going to comment anymore. I have no more comments that are appropriate to make. Okay, that's OrcQuest. Only 2 more. Next up, the Last Doge. Yes, I'm pronouncing that right because I looked it up because you guys always mock me in the comment section. $13,000 of the $21,000 goal. This is a very unique theme. It's sort of Venice post-apocalyptic. And what you're doing is you're going across this grid-based map, essentially, cards that are going to have actions, powers, consequences on them. You're trying to find the one with a treasure tile. And so what you do on your turn is you either draw 2 cards or you secretly look at 2 of them. You flip up one and take the action or the effect of one, and then you place your character on the other one. Rinse and repeat until you can guess which one is the treasure one. 2 to 5 players, about 45 minutes. Key features, like it says, interactions, combos, risk-taking, 27 different districts that you're going to be doing, and different types along the way that you're going to be flipping up. You can attack your competitors. There's going to be manipulation of the Doge as you go along, and you're going to be playing cards that are going to have more interaction along with that. Rulebook is there, €30 pledge. I mean, it seems relatively straightforward. And if you want to get little plastic miniatures to go along with it, great. If you want to get all future add-ons for free, you can get €100. That's bait if I've seen it, right? Add-ons for a playmat, stretch goals here, stretch goals here, stretch goals here, player characters that you're going to be getting, different areas that you get to see and what they're going to do potentially. Enough video that you can check it out. I've seen this one a ton getting advertised on Facebook. It's from Don't Panic Games though. Check it out. Now, last up on this list, we have Green Planet, Powerline, and Future Energy. Now, this may look familiar because it's Queen Games. And this may look familiar because I was going through the mechanics here and I was like, I recognize this. Haven't I seen this before? Oh, look, all of their back catalog that they're selling off, not at their retail now. And again, whole nother conversation that they have significantly gone up on the price point at retail for all of their games through their web shop. Like really higher than the crowdfunding. So this is a simultaneous dice selection game that you're doing as you lay these dice down arranged across the board, and it's going to correlate to not only what you can do, where you can do it, but how much of it you can do on a turn-by-turn basis. And in case you're having deja vu, like I said, I've seen this before, because I actually realized afterwards it was over on GameFound. €9,000, I think it raised in last year, finished funding back in, what was that, August of 2022. So they're already coming back out again with more of it. So I'm not sure if this is just getting more, or if it's just getting, just like we saw with the previous Queen Games in the last month or so, selling off backstock of like Marrakesh and those games from Feld. Speaking of that, still don't have that, still haven't heard anything yet. Now been another 2 or 3 weeks. Future Energy, they're giving you new options essentially with this game as an expansion. So at least this time they're coming with something new in addition. So there you go. Take it for what you will. Shipping in Europe is actually, and US is going to be included. So that's something new. I like seeing that actually. But the base is going to cost you $52, and the expansion here, just the expansion, holy cow, just the expansion is $63. That's impressive, I guess. So that's all I'm going to say. Queen Games, check it out. There you go. That's it. That's the roundup. Easy squeezy peasy. Short video this week. If you missed it, since this was a little bit shorter, and because I didn't really have a whole lot of time to put it up elsewhere, we're also dropping today a video on Marvel United Multiverse. What you need to know about it when it launches next week, a whole separate little short snippet video in case you have any interest like I do. There you go. Another 6 minutes of your time if you feel like perusing. As always, stay classy. See you around. Let me know what you like in the comment section. I will have a roundup of the upcoming games to be known of next week. Tomorrow, if that made sense. Upcoming Kickstarters video tomorrow. There you go. More short, concise way. Peace out. Have a great day.